Good morning. Welcome back to ExPat InSights. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan. We are on the second segment of work-life resilience, and my guest this time is the one and only Brian Lane of Asian Tigers Mobility. And he's not just going to talk about resilience, but he's going to give us live examples of how he's made a major comeback. Brian Lane, welcome back to ExPat InSights.
Thank you, Raju.
It's such a pleasure to have you here, sir.
And the feeling is mutual, Raju.
You were here 3 years ago, and you made me laugh so much.
3 years ago?
Almost.
Wow.
Almost. 2010 or 11, yeah.
Time flies, time flies.
How are you, Brian?
I'm okay, up and down, but I'm okay.
And in these 3 years, I think you've had a big journey. You've had lots of ups and downs?
Yes, mostly in the health area.
Yeah.
They always say there's no flies on me, but there is one tonight.
It's okay, yeah.
Yes, I've had major problems. A shoulder problem which started just 2 years, 4 months ago, resulting from a golf injury.
Yeah?
Golf is my hobby, my passion. And being a little guy, although in the Philippines I don't feel like a little guy, but compared to expats, I'm a little guy. I've always tried to hit the ball a long way. And rather than focusing on finesse, I was just giving it everything I could. As a result, I damaged my shoulder and woke up one morning 2 and a bit years ago screaming in pain, went to a certain large medical facility in Makati, and they did all the tests, did all the MRIs and x-rays and so on, diagnosed the problem. At this stage, remember, I'm in so much pain, I'm full of painkillers. They give you painkillers, obviously, to dull the pain.
You're into a story that occurred 2.5 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it started 2.5 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
It's still ongoing because I'm still suffering from it. Although in going with the theme of the interview, I think I've come back, but I'm not 100% yet.
Right. So it was a tennis elbow that moved up to the shoulder.
No.
It became shoulder elbow.
No,
shoulder
no.
Tennis shoulder, yeah.
It's a different concept. It tore the rotator cuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know I had a rotator cuff.
Yeah.
I thought these were the only cuffs I had.
Right.
But apparently we have rotator cuffs inside our shoulders. And I'd torn this, and the MRI was misread, so they gave me the wrong diagnosis, therefore the wrong operation, and therefore, and this is where the damage was really done, the wrong physiotherapy after the operation.
Okay. 6 weeks of work on your shoulder?
Well, it was 32 days of physio.
Yeah.
At the end of that, I just said enough. This is crazy because the pain was increasing. Now, I'm not a tough guy, but I'm not a complete wimp either. And 2 of my brothers were saying, "Come on, Brian, stop making a fuss about the pain. This is normal recovery pain. Just get on with it." But the pain was increasing, steadily increasing, and
Something inside of you told you that this is not
even
right.
yes, I'm not.
Most people know.
Well, you know, but it's very hard to explain to the doctors or to anybody else.
Them, yeah.
It's very. My sister is a homeopathic doctor, so she's qualified medically. My brother David is very interested in medicine. He's studied it. I know nothing about it. My brother Jerry suffered some major skiing problems in India, very bad skiing accident. So again, he studied his body and the results. I knew nothing about my body at this stage. I was blissfully ignorant, I'm ashamed to say.
You were a happy man.
I was a happy man.
Yeah. Okay.
Until it happened. This then, after 32 days, I knew it was wrong. I demanded a fresh set of MRIs, X-rays, CT scans, and so on. And I got a panic call from the doctor the next day admitting he'd made a mistake and asked me to come in for the second of what became 7 operations.
The doctor, like the biggest honcho doctor in the group, he called you up without you starting off the discussion and saying that we made a mistake?
Yeah, he had seen, by then he'd seen the results.
And he went back and reviewed
the
whole.
He realized,
yeah.
in fact, and this is the bad part, I was so drugged with the painkillers. My girlfriend Raquel told me that at the time of the original CTI, MRI, there were 2 doctors there, and they disagreed on the diagnosis. But the senior doctor got his way, apparently. I knew nothing of this because I was away with the fairies, literally.
Yeah.
And I now realize that there was a difference of opinion from the outset. But unfortunately, the senior guy won the day,
Yeah.
took the wrong decision, gave me the wrong operation and the wrong physio, and I've been paying for it now for over 2 years.
So of the two senior doctors who were there at the first instant, which one of them called you back? The bigger senior or the small?
The senior.
The senior
Yeah.
called you back and said, we made a mistake. So he was the one who really made a mistake.
Yeah.
Post that, what course did you guys take? You and the doctor together, or you and your family and the doctor
Well,
together?
it was a difficult, many of my friends and family recommended going elsewhere, going abroad, but I was in such pain that at that stage I couldn't travel very well. After about I think it was 6 months into this, I did go to Singapore, but when I saw a specialist in Singapore, he refused to touch me because he said it was too infected and too inflamed.
Ouch.
So even though he was a wonderful doctor, terrific reputation, he just couldn't, he refused to see me because he refused to touch me.
Are you saying for 6 months you were walking around with a sore shoulder?
Oh, I'm
More
still-
than sore. Sore is an understatement, probably.
Yeah, in those days it was extremely, it's sore today, but
Yeah.
it's not anything like the same level of pain.
Right, right.
So this went on for about a year, and gradually, after the 7th operation, we were at a stage where my body was not.
Whole body in pain, I'm sure, because
It was.
when you have a minor injury anywhere, the rest of your body follows.
Well, I've always been pretty tough and pretty resilient, I think. I'm not good with pain. I don't claim to be one of these stoic macho guys.
No Bruce Lee there, no Sylvester
No
Stallone.
Bruce Lee.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no. But I'm not a wimp either. I mean, I can tolerate a certain amount of pain, providing it's explained to me and providing I know I'm getting the right treatment. At this stage, I'd lost confidence in the medical profession, to be honest.
Ouch.
And
Yeah.
yes, big ouch.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been restored
Ouch.
as we sit here now,
Yeah.
2.5 years later, 2 and a
Yeah.
quarter years later. So I had difficult decisions to make. Do I go abroad? But this guy had already been into my shoulder so many times for each opening operation that I figured that he knows my shoulder better than anybody on the planet.
This is still the same guy.
The same guy. And by
human
now,
being.
knowing his guilt at his
Yeah.
initial mistake, he is
Yeah.
trying super hard to fix
Yeah.
me.
May I take that cup?
You may indeed.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Brian, so at that moment, 6 months later, or when you figured out that the doctor and the whole medical setup made an error on you, did you feel like buying a tank and driving through the hospital? Or?
I think I got a couple of quotations for different size tanks.
Yeah.
I was angry. I'm still angry.
Yeah.
I was very, very angry.
And you have done anything about this anger, this?
Well, I went as the natural recourse after you settle down after the pain. There were
Yeah.
3 stages.
Yeah.
First step is stop the pain.
Okay.
The second step is fix the problem.
Mhm.
And the third stage is
Set things right.
set things right, get
Yeah.
compensation, get apologies, and so on. The first 2 worked out eventually. The third one is still annoying me. It turns out,
Sorry.
sorry,
First was recover from the pain. The second
Yeah.
one was, sorry,
fix the problem.
fix the problem. So you're still not done with the second part yet, no?
No.
So you're in the process of 2 and 3. Fix the problem and set things right for you and for rest of the world. I mean, do justice. You know,
Do
make
justice,
things-
yes.
yeah.
I've been told by the doctor that I need 1 or maybe 2 more operations to really fix it.
Ouch.
And I've simply said no. I can't. I'm not willing to take the risk. Further infection, further opening, and at my great age, it's. If I was a teenager, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But I'm a very old teenager, so I don't want to try that again.
I would like to disagree with that, you know. I mean, I hardly disagree, but I think for whatever your age is, Brian, except for the shoulder that you're holding it in a very odd manner, the rest of you looks perfect. So I don't think age or any number has to do anything with it. My life coach who was here a while ago, she would definitely agree with me. It doesn't have to do with that. Remember, she said she's a marathon or a mother of
Yes,
6,
yes.
so she's not a teeny bopper too.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive lady.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
So I think the rest of it is okay. So let's go back to setting things right.
Setting things right. Well, I've made it. I discovered to my horror, I thought it was initially a joke, but he wasn't joking. When I asked about it, I said, don't worry about, obviously, the money. I will have to sue you, obviously, because you made...
You told him?
Oh, yes.
At face? Oh,
and, you know, because I believe in being direct. There's no point in beating around the bush.
Yeah.
You screwed up. I mean, in my business, and in any business, if you do something wrong, there has to be a compensation.
You fix it, or there's a compensation?
And in our business, in the international relocation business, excuse me, we have insurance. I mean, if something goes wrong at whatever stage of the process, if it's our fault, or the shipping line's fault, or the destination agent in Zambezi,
it's
doesn't
called
matter.
being accountable.
You're accountable, and you have proper insurance. To my horror and now disgust, I found that in the Philippines, most, if not all, doctors and hospitals do not have medical liability insurance. And they certainly didn't at the time, this 2.5 years ago. And I was horrified, excuse me, and had to decide whether to sue him and make him personally bankrupt or go against the hospital in which the mistake was made.
So what are your course of action today? You
Well,
know what, I just remembered a story. It happened to me exactly. 25 years ago, broke my knee. Not really broke it, it just wasn't working well. And they did an operation on it. It took me 3 years to heal. It's still not, I still don't run like the young lady there, but it's a life damage. So that's a story for me too.
Well, the thing that really, the moral of the story here is not just Brian Lane's problem, because I'm only one guy. But for many years, until this happened to me, I'd been one of those advocating through the American Chamber and the Joint Foreign Chambers, advocating the Philippines as an ideal source for medical tourism. It's a huge sunrise industry.
It is.
The Philippines and the Filipinos are ideally suited to go out and get a big share of this market, which at the moment in Asia is dominated by Malaysia and Thailand.
Right.
The Philippines should be and can be up there, but it's a disgrace that at this stage they're refusing to do two things. One is to have the medical insurance, and the other is, and this was told to me by my lawyer when I consulted him about what we should do, he said, Brian, the biggest problem will be getting any Filipino doctor to go into court and stand up against another Filipino doctor. Now, in Italy, they call that the mafia.
When you say medical insurance, you're talking about in terms of errors being done.
Yes,
not
medical
not
liability.
Not protection.
No, medical liability insurance. Thank God I have Blue Cross. Otherwise, I'd have been in major trouble.
Debt,
They covered all my expenses, and thank you to them. And I'm very happy with that. This is the liability of the doctor and the hospital for mistakes.
So what is
Separate
the reason?
issue.
What according to you must have sensed it, that why doesn't this facility of medical insurance or liability exist in the country? Why is there not a law passed? That's one. The second one is, what are the reasons for one doctor not standing up and speaking up against another outfit?
Well, it's professional protection. They're protecting each other.
Right.
The example that was given to me by this lawyer, doctor lawyer, was that a couple were expecting their first baby. The wife was Filipino, the husband was an expat. They went to a certain large medical facility in Makati. A mistake was made when they started the cesarean procedure. She was given an epidural, and it was done badly. As a result, she lost the baby and was paralyzed for life from the waist down.
Wow.
And they tried to take the hospital, the doctor to court quite naturally because they were incensed, only to find that not one single Filipino doctor would have the courage and the decency to stand up in court and say, yes, this was medical malpractice. They had to fly a doctor from Hong Kong 11 times for the hearings in order to take the case forward. I think that is a national disgrace for a country that is so sympathetic to people. The environment in the Philippines normally is the very reverse. People are sympathetic. The culture breeds...
we let go easily, we forgive easily?
Very easily. I mean, but I'm not at that stage yet. No, but I'm talking about the Filipino attitude to problems and issues and to other people.
Errors,
but they're very sympathetic. But in this case, it's a professional law of omerta in Italy, the law of silence, to not to stand up against each other. So each doctor feels protected because he knows no other doctor in the Philippines will stand up and verify that he's made a mistake. And I think that is a disgrace, a national disgrace. And when you think of the standing of the medical profession, we all hold our doctors in awe, because when we need them, they are.
You think of the nobility of the profession.
Yes, it's a noble profession, one of the oldest professions on the planet. And to have this law of silence is, to me, a disgrace, a professional disgrace. And I intend, it's my personal mission, to stop the portrayal of the Philippines as an ideal medical tourism destination, because it isn't and can't be until they fix this problem.
Brian, before I ask you what are you going to do about it, or at what stage are you at with this mission, how's that lady, one who was paralyzed waist below?
Unfortunately, this was an anecdote told to me by the lawyer, so I don't know the details.
You have no idea how to do it?
I don't know, but
and her expat husband's Irish too, like you?
No. I think he was an American. I'm not sure. I don't know the details. As I say, it's second-hand information.
But it's still a story worth knowing or telling.
Well, the lawyer, the doctor lawyer, told me this. He said this is one of his patients, one of his clients. Sorry, one of his clients. Yeah. And it told me that. Very similar to my only other major legal experience in the Philippines, where I had the need to go to court against my former partners in a business deal. This is not a country in which that kind of approach can prosper, because again, the law, the judiciary, as we see every day in the papers, is far from perfect.
It's more instinct and relationship driven rather than merit driven, no?
Sorry, with respect, Raju, I would call it more cash driven.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Okay, relationship driven, no?
It's not relationship driven, it's cash driven, unfortunately. Wow. And that again is something.
Money is the glue then, you're saying?
Money is the obstacle to justice when it comes to the judicial system here. It's the guy with the biggest wallet who wins the case. Or the guy with the most influence and the most influential friends.
Yeah, either way, I think it's the same.
It comes down to money and influence.
Brian, so you're saying now that for us to mature as a tourist destination, number one, not just a tourist destination, but for us to mature as a country to go to, not just for business, but for everything else, in the area of medicine and wellness and health, we need to put in these systems where people can be held accountable for what they do, no?
Absolutely.
Now, are there any authorities who are participating in your mission? Is there somebody else who you can call upon to say, let's change this facet of this country?
Well, I've got to be careful how I phrase my response, Raju. At the moment, it's Brian Lane on a mission. But the Joint Foreign Chambers, I believe, have something similar in mind.
Right.
I've got to be careful not to imply that they agree with everything I say.
Right.
But I think there is some sympathy for my approach, because they are very interested in the development of the Philippines, in the improvement of everything that can be changed.
These are the people who wrote down Arrancada.
Exactly.
Same group.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a perfect example. Because as foreigners living here, and this is now my home, I want the Philippines to be better. I want to see changes and improvements.
And I am very sure that there's a million other Filipinos who know this and understand this. It's not just you as an expat or a person of a different culture. I think there will be. I'm very sure, because I personally know people from academia and institutions who want change for the better, no? So go ahead. So Joint Foreign Chambers.
Joint Foreign Chambers, because they take up the cudgels for particular issues where they see value and benefit, and where a grievance needs to be addressed and changed. And because the Philippines is very welcoming to such groups, the JFC has access to government. So they are able to talk at a very senior level to the top people who make policy and who implement policy. But so I have access through you and through the media, through the papers. I know many of the newspaper guys and so on. I have the ability to vent my anger and my frustration. At
you're setting things right for...
Trying to set it. Okay. But Juan de la Cruz does not.
The ordinary Filipino,
the ordinary Filipino. So I'm doing it for me, because I'm the one who suffered the pain and is still suffering to some extent. But I think if this works, it will help, obviously, not just me and the other expats. What it will do, it will do two things. First of all, talking about the expats. Expats, at the moment, many of them get on a plane and go to Singapore or somewhere else. If they have any medical problem, anything more serious than a flu, because this kind of story.
They're afraid.
They're scared. So they
Yeah.
go and spend the money that could be and should be spent here, because if you think about the other side, Filipino doctors, nurses, and auxiliary assistants, medical assistants, around the world are known for their quality, for their
Yes.
for their
Courtesy, for their caring, for their
loving care.
cariñoso.
They are up there. If you were
Yeah.
choosing someone, and I had a very recent
To
example.
look after you.
To look after you. Someone went to Singapore recently, and he came back and said the nurses there were nothing like as helpful or as caring as Filipino nurses.
Well, the term is called malasakit, malasakit or cariñoso. You know, that means really
Cariñoso,
by genetics, by DNA, we are a caring culture.
Yes.
But yet, I think such systems as you're talking about, protection from malpractice, should be put in a factor.
It has to be put, even if it wasn't a business issue, it's a moral issue, ethically. Now, in the States, you've got it's gone to the other extreme.
Yeah.
And that is a shame.
It's gone crazy, yeah.
It's gone absolutely crazy. People sue at the drop of a hat for no real reason. Excuse me. But here we've gone to this extreme where there has been no liability cover, and that is another disgrace.
I must also share a story. 2 years ago, I brought my son to another hospital in the Philippines, and he had stomach trouble, post effects of dengue. I remember the doctors and the nurses in this particular hospital be very careful. They had him sign documents, they asked him questions. So before they took any diagnostic test or any action, they were making very sure that, number one, they were not going wrong. Number two, that if they did go wrong, they would not be blamed. So it was kind of overcautiousness on their part. And I thought that was a bit, because given the fact that there's no liability law in the country, I don't know why they were concerned, but that's something that came to my mind.
Unfortunately, there are gaps in what needs to be done, but it's very easy to fix. This is not something that will take a huge amount of money. If all the doctors, if the medical profession did it as a medical profession, which they should, it's not an option. I mean, I'm astonished that in 2013 that this is not mandated by law or by their conscience. Even if it wasn't mandated by law, if you're about to operate on someone and you know that a mistake can be very costly, then why wouldn't you take insurance? I don't, as a businessman, I don't understand. If I can insure against a reasonable risk in my business, I do so. I can't understand why they wouldn't do the same. Then you add in the moral factor, and there is no choice. You have to do it. You've got to do it.
Brian, I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
On your mission, on your quest for.
What about my golf?
I can't help you with that, but I can bless you. I can probably give you a little massage. I bless you on your quest for fixing things for not just for the medical industry, but for the country, and the impact that will come about for not just for the expats, but also for the have-nots.
Have-nots.
Because there are 95 million Filipinos who don't even know that they can be compensated for errors by the medical profession. So that's your quest.
That's my quest. That's my mission.
Now, last couple of minutes before we go, I just want to know, what are your thoughts on coming back? What's your philosophy? What's your Irish Filipino post crazy surgery philosophy, Brian, on coming back?
We have a little saying in the Lane family: Lanes never give up.
Okay.
And I taught when my daughter's about 4 or 5,
yeah,
and my son was a little year or two older. I taught them this, and to this day, my daughter, when I'm a bit down, she lives in Australia now, but when we talk or when we Skype, excuse me, and I'm a bit down, she'll say, "Daddy, remember what you taught me? Lanes never give up."
Right.
And that is part of my culture, my creed, my philosophy. I've been down several times in business.
So lanes always find their ball bearings back.
Well, we lose our ball bearings quite easily, but we do bounce back. We don't give up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brian Lane. May your
Raju.
arm recover 100%,
Thank you,
and
sir.
may you really bring about this positive change that you are wishing to bring about.
Thank
Good
you.
luck and God bless, and may the sun rise on the path that you walk.
Thank you.
So that was Brian Lane from Asian Tigers, Lane Mobility and Lane Moving, 3 companies. And I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan. Thank you for watching ExPat InSights, and the subject matter for today was work-life resilience, and I hope you got a few lessons. I'll see you next week. We are going to talk about education and IT. Good night, mabuhay, and have a great weekend.